Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome. My name is Katie Gideon. I will be the on-camera facilitator. I am dialing in from Edinburgh, Scotland. So it is a nice cold, dreary afternoon here, but I am so excited to set up my weekly pages with each and every one of you. Want to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator, Bailey, who you will see in the chat. Look at her. And she's here day before her birthday, which is always super fun. But she's joining us from Tennessee. But we are super glad to be here. We are glad to continue to embrace this month's theme as well as reveal our new mind map question. But again, welcome everyone. I love seeing our returning socialers in the chat. You guys make me smile. You guys are the best cheerleading squad there. But at the same time, we are each other's best accountability buddies to make sure that we are hitting our goals each and every week and giving ourselves some grace and reminding ourselves to breathe and hydrate and all the special things to get us through the week. I was starting to see that we may have some first-time socialers. So if you want to join into the chat, make sure it is set to everyone. That goes to the larger Silk and Sonder family in the chat. If it's just to host and panelists, which it'll randomly default to, that comes to just myself and Bailey. But we're always willing to answer those questions and just double check. But if this is your first time, we're glad you're here. It may be a little overwhelming at first, and that's just because it's a little bit of a sensory overload. The chat is going to go pretty quickly. The examples are going to be there on the slides. If I am too much, you can mute me. We're going to have music. If that's too much, you can mute it. But we want you to take what you need from this social. So if that's getting inspiration and all of the examples and absorbing all those, or if it is just kind of muting everything and just sitting and spending this next hour with just you and your journal, that is absolutely up to you. There is no right or wrong way to Sonder. And we know that sometimes you just need a little pick me up. And again, this is a great place to have that. So with that being said, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. As always, do limit some of the repetitive product and accessory questions, but we do talk about stickers here. We will do talk about pens and all the fun ways of doing this, because at the end of the day, I'm one of those, if it looks nice and it makes you smile, then it absolutely needs to be incorporated, because this should be something that is positively motivating, not negatively triggering. And as always, if you have specific customer care inquiries, we're going to redirect those to hello@silkandsonder.com. But as you said, we have some information that we are willing to answer as best we can. And then, as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. But you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if you had a rough go, we're glad you're here. Hopefully we can put you in a little bit better mood, or at least give you a little bit of that relief, take that breath, all of those things. But if you have just you're just in one of those kind of funks or one of those weird moods, set up those emotional or mental boundaries or barriers, because again, we want you to walk away kind of motivated and inspired and at least a little bit peppier, positive, all of those things. And so we don't want this to be triggering in any way, shape, or form. So if you need to take a break, take a break. If you need to go to that wonderful coloring page and work on that, do that as well. But we are glad you're here just as you are, and we're going to get started. So this month's theme of admiration, I think it is a really, really great theme for February. And part of it is because it's, a kind of another version of love. And just kind of, I always think of a little bit of that kind of more formal or just a little bit more kind of stuffier version of love, so to speak. But what I did kind of want to focus on, at least for me kind of on this, is I liked this quote of, "Don't wait till you reach your goal to be proud of yourself. Be proud of every step you take." I am a big celebrator of milestones. I love to celebrate my milestones, my family's milestones, my friends, acquaintances. I love a good reason to celebrate. But sometimes you don't get milestones all the time. So that doesn't mean you just have to wait to celebrate. I think it's kind of the idea of some of these goals that you have are more of a marathon versus a sprint. So instead of having to always wait to celebrate the end of that marathon, you can celebrate at the little mile markers. So remembering and reminding yourself, especially if you're on these long-term goals, to celebrate some of those small steps, even if they are forward, even if they are back, nothing is linear in that regard. But having that idea to be proud of what you did this day, how did you support that goal this day? Because sometimes that can be a little lost in our kind of chaotic day to day, and especially when you're experiencing some of those lows along with some of those highs. So its ability to kind of celebrate each and every ordinary moment or each and every ordinary step, but finding, like you said, the magic in ordinary days and being able to celebrate those small wins, those small glimmers, and those small steps. So with that now in mind, we'll work on the admiration mind map. Then we're going to do the rosebud thorn, and then we're going to move into those weekly setup pages. And so again, the way this is going to work, I'm going to present the information on the slides, then I will go off camera. I will start some music, but if you ever need us to go back to different slides or see different examples, just put in the chat, let us know, and we'll make those adjustments. So for the weekly mind map, again, if you have not done this before, these are unique to the weekly setups, and it is an opportunity for us to dive a little bit deeper into the month's theme. So we have a new question, a new prompt, a new idea for each week. And so you're going to turn to your mind map if you've already set it up. If you haven't, you can find a blank page or a blank section in the weekly pages so that we can explore the theme and kind of ask those questions. What we really like about this is because it's not printed in your journal, you get to kind of decorate it and make it a little bit more kind of your own flair and your own style. And as always, if you do show up late or you miss a week, we include the previous weeks there as well. But just because we include those previous weeks does not mean you need to play catch up. And it does not mean that you're behind if you don't participate in each and every one of those. And sometimes they can be a little tricky or a little open-ended. And at the same time, like I know it's probably a little early for some of you, and those, the synapses aren't quite firing on all cylinders yet. That's okay. You can just jot it down and you can come back to it throughout the week, or you can incorporate the theme into some of your weekly pages so that you can kind of think on it as you go in kind of your day-to-day activities. So with that being said, week one, we focused on our admiring of ourselves. And this week, we are now doing the admiration of others. So a couple ways that you can kind of look at this is you can obviously reflect on people or a person that you admire. You can focus on, past or present of those peoples. Was there an impactful statement or event that kind of stands out to you that you could kind of dive in and describe in detail, or one that you could even reflect in kind of a slightly different perspective, especially if it was something that, previously happened? I also like the idea of maybe collecting different qualities that you admire in particular people as a way to kind of build inspiration for you as a whole. And then as you kind of build this collection of qualities that you admire in people, how can you then start incorporating those into your journey or your growth? And then as always, I do love a good letter. You can write kind of an admiration letter, gratitude letter to someone, and maybe include maybe what you did or maybe what you didn't say. I feel like it's one of those, when they always say your ears must be burning because someone is either talking about you or thinking about you. Maybe that could be kind of a cute little like nod to someone that you've admired. But then I also wanted to kind of come back to the idea of, this is our self-care journey, and I do not lack in confidence and self-confidence. So it's like, how can I make this a little bit about me because it's my journey and not just kind of, I have amazing friends. They do amazing things and I love cheering them on a regular basis. So then it was like, how can I kind of pull this a little bit more tightly into my self-care journey? And that's where I was kind of the idea of exploring the connection points that you had with what you admired about them. So maybe it was how they handled a situation, or maybe how, something even just like a small action. So it was like, how could I kind of flip this a little bit back more into kind of an internalization of these qualities that I admire of others, other than, again, the really great kind of bullet list description of why I love my friends and why I love my family and why I think they're great people. So I would love to hear your thoughts on not only the admiration of others, but how do you kind of incorporate the admiration of others into your self-care journey or even your day-to-day kind of activities? So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to give you time to work on this. If you want to share in the chat, please do. If not, you can just sit and work on your journal, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for taking time to at least write down and kind of acknowledge kind of your admiration of others and kind of your connection to that. It's always, I think, just really nice exercise to kind of sit and spend kind of that time and energy just acknowledging kind of what you see in others, but also acknowledging kind of the powerful stories that they have, the qualities that they have. And I love that Bailey included the fictional characters. I think those are absolutely great as well. I started rereading one of my favorite series again because the new one's coming out, and realizing just kind of gravitating to some of those heroines and those stories. It just adds that kind of extra lift and that extra motivations to do that. It's The Bone season by Samantha Shannon. I think I've raved about it before, but it's a good one. But thank you everybody for sharing. We are now going to turn to page 36 in your February journal. This is the closeout of the previous week's pages for our Rosebud Thorn reflection. And this is, again, a really good opportunity to sit and acknowledge the good, the bad, and everything in between of your week, but also, again, a way we can turn it into actionable items. So maybe you had a really great highlight for the week. So maybe there are things that we can continue or start doing to kind of continue to support that in our weekly pages. But also, I feel like there are times where it's a little bit of just a relief to be able to sit and talk about what was great about your week, what was not so great about your week, and then what you're looking forward to as just kind of, you can, let it be in the week, or you can carry it through as that kind of internal motivation. But I think it is really one of those kind of elegantly simple practices that even I kind of do in my head with or without the journal. I kind of, when I feel like just in a mood, I take a moment to sit and think about what was good for the day, what maybe didn't go so well, as just a way to do that. And so the rose is going to be something that you did well, a highlight, a win, something that makes you happy, something that made you smile. Excuse me. I went to two concerts this week, so I stayed out well past midnight for two of those days. So I feel like that's what's funny, because it's going to be a rose, and that's also kind of my thorn. But I love going to see live music. This was a lot of fun, and ironically, it was two American bands that came and see. So I went and saw Sub Radio on Tuesday in Glasgow with some friends of mine, and then on Thursday I went and saw. This may expose like my somewhat questionable taste in music sometimes, but it was Wheatus and Bowling for Soup. And so the like angsty emo nostalgia kind of came out for me then, and they were so great. It was so fun. It makes you feel older when you kind of go there, but it was super fun. I had a great time, but it also leads to my thorn, which is something that is a challenge, something that didn't go as well, something that has just taken up too much time, energy, or space in your mind, body, or emotions. I'm tired. I feel like it was one of those things that all caught up to me. I'm tired. My feet hurt because I was standing the whole time. It was cold walking back. So it's just one of those I'd like to sleep. So luckily I have this weekend to refresh, but man, going out on a school night can be a little tough sometimes, but it was well worth it. And then the bud is going to be something of an emerging opportunity, something you're looking forward to, something that makes you smile, something that could be out there. It's going to sound weird, but the salads over here in Scotland are not my definition of salads. I don't think arugula is a suitable whole salad. You need other things. So I ordered a bunch of stuff through my meal box service for Caesar salads. So I'm so excited. I mean, I like arugula too, but it's not a whole salad. So the fact that they sent me iceberg lettuce, I'm now thrilled. So I'm super pumped about these Caesar salads that I'm gonna have, which I also think I'm dehydrated, which is why I crave the salads. But I'm really excited about the Caesar salads this week. So if you would like to share your Rosebud Thorn for the week, this is an excellent group to do that, because we love to celebrate the wins, acknowledge some of those extra support, all those things. But we would love to hear from you in the chat. We will see you soon. And again, we're on page 36 in your February journal. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. And I know Bailey always does a great job of kind of pointing it out, and I can't help but echo it. Because we do a lot of these socials on the weekends. I know I am a weekend setup, weekly setup kind of staple facilitator. I love seeing all of your rosebuds thorns because I feel like it's just such a really nice insight into just the lives you're leading, which is what's so special about Silk and Sonder. It's that everyone's on these magical journeys and on their own journey and kind of doing all their own experiences, all those things. But I love getting to read all of those roses, seeing you all work through some of those thorns, or at least acknowledging the thorns with still that kind of intentional optimism. I just love seeing it. I love being a part of it. And I thank all of you for your honesty when it comes to these exercises, because I feel like the coolest and best like bystander in everything that you do. And so I can't help but admire it, which is one of those really fun things. So I think there's just something really, really special and magical about Rosebud Thorn, even though kind of on the surface, it's kind of one of our more simpler prompts, it seems. But thank you. We are now going to move into those weekly planner pages. So this is going to be page 40 and 41 in your February journal. And I always like to preface this with a good way to kind of start out each time you set up these pages is, what do you need this week? Sometimes it is a copy and paste of the previous week because you had a great week and you want to continue to incorporate all of those things. Sometimes it is wiping the slate completely clean and starting over, or starting with some of those sections. But again, there is no right or wrong way to do this. Asking yourself, what do you need? How can you support yourself with these things? And some of that is kind of knitting the sections together to provide support there. Sometimes it is knitting across the different pages in the journal to add support. And sometimes it's leaving them blank or putting a sticker on it because you don't need that section, or you don't need the added energy toward that section. So if you get a little overwhelmed in the process, zoom back out, ask yourself what you need for this week and how it can kind of support you either on your overall goal, or if you're like, I'm a little overwhelmed with my overall goals, I just need to start a little bit small, or start, and again, some of those smaller steps, do it. So we are going to start at the top of page 40 with This Week I Want to Feel. I always ask myself, how do I want to feel this time next week? It's a little bit of those kind of statements of how can I take some ownership of the week that I'm going to have, knowing that there are outside variables that are going to impact that I may not be able to control. So it's that thing that I can come back to as either a mantra, a manifestation, an end goal, very goal oriented. So the fact that I can say, this is how I want to feel this time next week, gives me a little bit of that power back in my week. And so sometimes that question is, maybe I just need to be 1% better. Maybe it is more something, less of something. Maybe it's a specific definition. Maybe it's just, I want to be cozy and warm, like the cute little peppermint hot chocolate that's up there. Maybe you need a different word for each day because you got to come in with that different attitude. Maybe again, it's the admiration, it's the enthusiasm, it's being present. Maybe it's a really great sticker with like the really great motivation. So I'm going to put on a quick song, but I would love to see in the chat how you want to feel this time next week, and then we'll move into the next section. Thank you. And even as we move through these prompts, please feel free to continue to share in the chat, even though we've moved to the next section, just because we do have quite a bit of information to get to in our hour together. But I love seeing this as more of that like kind of intentional optimism that we can kind of take control of our week. But what's also great about this is maybe you have a word of the year, or you're focusing on a word of the month, or the word that you had previously picked really resonated with you. So this is one of those sections. It doesn't have to be new. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can pull kind of whatever you want to see, or what's going to get you through this week. So we are now staying on page 40, and I'm going to combine the next two categories, which are the major three goals and the weekly to-dos, because a lot of times people will connect these up quite well as well. And just because this is listed as major three goals, they could also be minor three goals. They could be three goals. It could be two goal. It could be one goal. It could even be no goals. So don't let those titles scare you off or intimidate you. If it's not what you're feeling, mark it out, cover it up, and kind of move with it. So you can certainly do this in kind of categories. That tends to be a really popular idea. And so you can break it down into different categories. Maybe it's a professional goal, a mind goal, a body goal. Maybe it's just kind of three things you want to acknowledge, maybe the movies or shows you're watching, the books you're reading, or the kind of creative project that you're working on. For me in particular, the major three goals don't tend to change too much. They tend to be the mental or emotional reminders for me to kind of stay grounded and feel the way I want to feel this time next week. And then I will overlay those with the to-dos. And some of those examples with overlaying their weekly goals and their weekly to-dos is that bottom section. So they have those categories, and then the to-dos directly will impact those categories. But also maybe this is just how you want to break down the things you want to accomplish each day, or like the goals you have each day. And so you've broken it down into a morning and midday and an evening goal, kind of each of those things you want to do. And then we do love a good bingo board. We love the dopamine of gamification that I think is fantastic. So you'll see a lot of bingo boards throughout this entire thing. And so it's a really great way to do it. I love the cleverness of alliterations. So maybe that's the way you want to categorize some of these things. Maybe you actually want to focus more on a self-care routine or a specific AM or PM routine. Maybe these are just kind of quotes or reminders or affirmations to get you through each day. A lot of times mine is usually hydrate, move, get some sun. So a lot of times it's a walking, as I said, glorified houseplant. And so sometimes I need those reminders, especially if I have a busy week. But maybe you want to kind of stop with some of those goals. Maybe it's incorporating kind of celebrating a win, acknowledging, did you show admiration for yourself today? Kind of those type of reminders. And then again, being able to connect the two sections is really great. And then maybe again, it's a completely different repurposing. Maybe it's weekly affirmations. Maybe it's kind of answering the question is, how do I want to feel this time next week? Here are the three things that are going to support how I want to feel, and those type of things. Sorry about that. And then we have the weekly to-dos. So these can be your traditional to-do lists, or they can be a to-do list. I'm a to-do fan. And that's again, because I like to have those celebrations. But I know Bailey and I like the quote, it doesn't matter if it's to-do or to-do as long as it is to-done. So this is another one of those sections that for me certainly changes from week to week, depending on what my to-do list entails. Because there are times where I can definitely be in the celebration mode. There are times when I need a little bit more structure, which is when I bring in the Eisenhower matrix, which is just a way to prioritize your to-do list with the do, decide, delegate, or delete. I can't delegate a whole lot because I live alone, but I do find those instances when I can delegate, and a lot of times it's stuff that I don't want to do. That can be everything from cooking to cleaning, kind of some of those things. I always look for those there. And then even I don't delete anything, I will just delay it. But you can also bring in the Pomodoro technique for some of those smaller steps to go for larger projects. Again, maybe your to-do list is a little bit more reflective in those categories that support your three major goals for this week, or again, those three minor goals. Sometimes it is all about kind of organizing these random things on your to-do list into priorities. And so I like the idea of a need and a want, but then also the idea of the don't do this instead, kind of that switching out. And same thing with like always incorporating not only the momentum or the doing item, but also incorporating some of those rest and refresh ideas. And then if not, maybe it's a place to put happy thoughts. Maybe it's a place to put a sticker, those weekly wins. Maybe it's less of a to-do list and more of a to-be list, especially if you're wanting to be a little bit more present. Or maybe it is a breakdown between work goals, personal to-dos, all of those type of things, breaking down into the need, the want for work, as well as for personal and kind of all those things in between. So I know that was a lot. I'm going to give you time to work on this and we will see you soon. Certainly curious if you connect your goals and your to-dos together or if you keep them absolutely separate, because I'm always looking for advice so that I don't continue to carry over my same to-dos to the same list each and every week. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone. We are just going to keep right on going. We're staying on page 40, but we're now at that bottom section, the habits and activities. And honestly, this one I have such mixed feelings about from week to week. And it usually just absolutely involves like whatever mental headspace I'm in, just kind of my emotional enthusiasm for the week. But I am absolutely looking forward to my habities this week, which is usually a little rare. Usually, this is one of those that I dwell and kind of doing it a little less enthusiastically. But that's what I think is really fun about this, because then I can kind of track why do I feel this way. But this is a great place to incorporate some of those habits that you want to accomplish every day. And so you can pull these from your monthly habit tracker. For me, I will pull the same three things. I am a creature of habit, and I feel like sometimes I just am a little bit more re-energized than usual. But I will bring those same three things over from the monthly tracker to each and every week. But I will then add in the kind of lens of reality. And that's more of what the weather is going to be like. What does my workload look like? What do my hobby attentions require? And so that's how I can kind of set this up so that I know I can set myself up for a little bit more success when it comes to these type of things. So I think that's why, oh, good question. My three things are I want to move every day, I want to read, and I want to journal. So those are my three things. I will then allocate however much time I can afford to spend without kind of overextending myself each day. And so sometimes the way it looks is it's more of like a traditional workout where I have like an hour or so to do it. And other times it is the commute, like the walking commute to run my errands. And so because I've come in with a little bit more of this type of habit and like attitude, I have found that I'm much more content and happy and satisfied with how I accomplish this section than I previously was when I was kind of overextending myself and then getting kind of down on myself because I wasn't accomplishing it. And so maybe these are habities that you want to stop. Maybe you have the kind of, you really want to set those goals with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another one of my favorite habits and activities is to kind of end my day. And the end my day is just a checklist in my head. And that's everything from like, sending out every email that I need to respond to, are there still dishes in the sink that I need to clean? Did I take out the trash? Some of those different chores that I would consider finishing my day so that I can kind of sit and not get bothered by whatever is still in my head kicking around. And then sometimes these are more of those less tangible things and kind of the squishy reminders to be kind to yourself, accept yourself, were you proud of yourself? And then there are those other times where you're on vacation or you're not feeling well or you just want to be more present. And that's where those stickers come in. Because just because there are 5 different lines does not mean you need to do 5 different habits. Maybe you just have 3, maybe it's 2, maybe you got hit pretty hard with a bad illness and so you're still recovering. And so your one habit for that week is to recover. Or you can break down your weeks because sometimes we know that our weekdays look a little bit different than our weekends, being able to structure it that way. Or maybe you want to focus on a specific morning or afternoon routine. Then, as I said, I am a visual person as well. So I love all of these because I always want to incorporate something new or something fun, something that's going to make me happy, something that's going to make me smile. So I've become a big fan of these self-care bucket list, adventure lists. And like I said, I think they just look so pretty. And then at the same time, I'm also kind of on a healthcare journey at some point. So acknowledging what produce is in season always makes me happy. So if you can snag those, they tend to be a little bit more affordable, a little bit fresher, and a little bit more readily available. So I'm going to give you time to work on your habities, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. What is also great about this particular section is if maybe you are having a harder time kind of connecting back to some of the pages in your journal, you can always use this as a little bit of a cheat sheet to help you out. So you can list the daily affirmations or the daily rituals to make sure that you hit each of those each and every day, which is what you want. Because I noticed that someone wants to do their mid month check-in on their currently page. So you can always use it in that type of section as well with the habits and activities. So now we are going to flip over to page 41. And I'm going to run through all the sections on this page because we like to collectively bunch these together because a lot of them tend to be repurposed. And this is one of those I will lovingly refer to it as the B-side, like the B-side of an album or an old record where the page that we just finished, that is my staple. That is my A-side. I do that each and every week. The B-side, there are some real gems when I need them, but I sometimes need to be just in a little bit of a better mood or like the right kind of mood to tackle some of these sections. So we'll start with the meal plan. And so you can absolutely use it as a meal plan, and you can do it in the planning part, or you can do it, you can record in real time what you've eaten if you're on that type of healthcare journey, or even if you're looking to track symptoms and kind of some of those cause and effect situations. But maybe this is where you also want to focus on one good thing. Maybe this is where your to-do list lives because you're bringing in meetings and kind of appointments, so you have to juggle a few other schedules outside of your own. Maybe it's more of a meal plan for the soul. Maybe this is your priorities. Maybe it's those daily affirmations that you want to write down out of the Silk and Sonder app. Maybe it is the journal prompts that you kind of want to focus and reflect on. And I know some people are using some acronyms. I know we've done the GLAD acronym. I think someone mentioned GROW a little bit further up. The other one that I know was there was CORE, which was create, observe, reach out, and excite. So kind of those different ways to do it. And then Bailey's pulling in coach, all those great acronyms. And then maybe it's a wardrobe planner, maybe it's a highlight, maybe that's where you have your kind of ta-da celebration, or maybe that's, again, you turn it a little bit more into the journal prompts. Then you have the mind body health plan, which can absolutely get repurposed as well. And maybe that's where you put more of your kind of journal prompt or self-reflection or kind of self-care ideas. I love the idea, Nathania, who I think just left the chat, but she's fantastic. I love her. This is how I'm feeling, so this is what I need reflection. And she does that, I know, early in the morning so that she can kind of adjust her day to that. So I love that idea. I also love the highlight of the day. Maybe you want to, again, focus on some of those rests. So that's the 7 types of rest, because again, you can't fill from an empty cup. So ways that you can replenish as well. Maybe it's your reading log. Maybe it is a specific mind, body, health task that you then want to do each and every week. Or again, maybe it's a sticker kind of week or an affirmation kind of week. Or again, incorporating some of these other things in a plan. And a lot of it is just kind of how you reframe it in your head. You don't see it as resting and relaxing. You see it as I'm, spending some time with my habit or my hobbies or that type of thing. So if you think of it as, again, self-care type situation, I know it gets a little bit out of my head and a little bit more into the actionable. So it becomes, rest is actually an action. And then the shopping list can go hand in hand with that meal plan, or again, another great place for a bingo board, another place for those daily ritual reminders or the self-care reminders. Maybe again, it's more of a social check-in, especially when we talk about the theme of admiration. So maybe there's a way to incorporate reaching out and telling someone that you're proud of them or why you're proud of them, or acknowledging some of those things as well. Maybe it's a buy or a don't buy. Maybe again, you want to focus in on those glimmers. Maybe it's just an acknowledgement of what you're watching, what you're reading, and what you're listening. So I am going to give you some time to work on this page, and we'll see you soon for the closing. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. And can you believe we've reached the end? It always goes by so quickly. But that very last section is the I am loving, which is your opportunity to just acknowledge something that's made you smile, that's made you happy. And you can either do that at the beginning of the week, end of the week, randomly in the middle of the week. You can have something that you're loving each and every day. I think it is certainly worth a little of the kind of less heavy prompts and pages that we have. And it's just really fun. And then also because we are midway through the month, believe it or not, page 39 for that currently, I saw that someone had already mentioned that they're going to do their midweek or their mid-month check-in with that. I highly encourage this page. This page really is there to make you smile, make you happy. I always think of it in terms of a book. There are 3 lines, so you're going to have a beginning, a middle, and the end of each month. So that's why it's good to see it at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the month to kind of see what you are feeling in all of these things, just to kind of see the journey or the story that was that particular month. So thank you, everybody, for sharing. If you would like to continue the conversation in the Silk and Sonder app, we would love to see your examples or pages if you want to share them. Obviously, we get such amazing inspiration from each and every one of you. That's what makes these very special. And then I know Bailey has absolutely toted the success and support of the real life coach. That's not my style. I'm still a little creeped out by the AI stuff, but I know it is there. It is a great tool for the people that it works with. And that's what I love about each of these things, because you can take what you need from each of these sections, incorporate it on your self-care journey, because it is here if you need it, if you want it, if you want to use it, you need to take a break, or if you want to come back. It's all those things because it'll always be here. And then this is a copy of my playlist. And I will include the Spotify link in the chat. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. I am super excited to go into this next week with each and every one of you. I am proud that you've set aside this hour for you and your self-care journey. I admire those, that kind of element of responsibility. And I hope to see you at a future event. And we hope to see you again soon. And I'm a big fan of the song coming up. It's a great version. This song always puts me in a good mood. So hopefully you will do some chair dancing or chair karaoke with us, and we will see you again soon.